Everybody wants respect, but very few know why they keep losing it.
Respect doesn't vanish overnight. It dies one bad habit at a time.
If people don't respect you, the problem isn't them, it's your habits. Excuses are one of the biggest reasons people never earn real respect. Think about it. Everyone fails. Everyone struggles. Everyone faces rejection and disappointment. But what separates people who rise from people who stay stuck is not luck, not talent, not even resources. It is the mindset of how they deal with failure. Some people use failure as a stepping stone to improvement, while others immediately reach for an excuse to protect their ego. Respect is not given to the person who always has a reason why they didn't succeed. Respect is given to the one who keeps going, even when the odds are against them. People don't admire excuses. People admire resilience. When you fail and say, the timing wasn't right, or I didn't get the support I needed, or they didn't believe in me, you think you're saving face, but in reality, you're destroying your reputation piece by piece. Excuses may comfort you for a short moment, but they damage you in the long term. Imagine two people working on the same project. The first one misses the deadline and says, well, I couldn't do it because my team didn't help me, the market shifted, and I had too many distractions. The second one misses the deadline and says, I failed to plan properly. I underestimated the effort required. This is on me, and I will fix it. Who do you respect more? Both failed, but one gained respect through honesty and ownership, while the other lost respect through excuses. Excuses are dangerous because they make you blind. The moment you give an excuse, you stop learning. You stop asking the right question. What can I do better next time? Instead, you shift the focus to external things you cannot control. And the truth is, people can immediately see through this. Nobody respects someone who constantly blames circumstances, luck, or other people for their failures. Respect goes to those who face reality as it is and take responsibility for changing it. Let's take an example from everyday life. Think of the colleague who is always late to work. One day they say, traffic was bad. The next day they say, my alarm didn't ring. Another day they say, I wasn't feeling well. After a few times, do you still respect this person? No, because excuses may sound logical, but repetition makes them meaningless. On the other hand, think of the person who admits, I mismanaged my morning. I need to change my routine. That person instantly gains respect because they are willing to be accountable. Excuses don't just damage how others see you. They damage how you see yourself. Every time you make an excuse, you tell yourself a small lie. And the danger of small lies is that they accumulate. You begin to believe that you are powerless, that you are unlucky, that you are a victim of circumstances. Over time, you convince yourself that failure is never your fault. But the moment you accept no fault, you also give up all control over your future. That is why excuse making is one of the fastest ways to destroy self-respect. And without self-respect, no one else will respect you either. People respect action, not explanation. They respect results, not stories. If you failed, it's better to say nothing and keep working quietly until you succeed than to fill the air with excuses. The more you explain why something didn't happen, the less serious you appear. And the more you take action to make it happen, the more powerful you become in the eyes of others. Respect grows when people see you fight against the odds, not when they hear you justify why the odds were too high. One of the strongest traits of respected leaders, entrepreneurs, and even everyday role models is their refusal to make excuses. They may admit mistakes, but they don't hide behind them. They may acknowledge challenges, but they don't use those challenges as shields. Instead, they say, this happened, but I will find a way forward. And this is what makes people trust them, follow them, and respect them. You cannot earn respect if people see you as someone who runs from responsibility. Excuses are like a mask. They cover the truth temporarily, but they never solve the problem. Over time, the mask falls off, and people realize that behind it there is weakness, fear, and avoidance. Respect is only built when you stop hiding and start facing the raw truth of your failures. It is not easy. It's much easier to blame external factors than to accept your own role in failure. But life respects the one who accepts responsibility. And so do people. They admire the individual who says, yes, I failed. Yes, I made mistakes. But I am still here, and I am still fighting. Because deep inside, everyone's that failure is universal. But courage is rare, and courage without excuses is the real foundation of respect. Complaining is one of the fastest ways to lose respect. Everyone has problems,
but not everyone talks about them endlessly. The difference between respected people and ignored people is simple. Respected people deal with problems, while ignored people complain about them. When you complain too much, you make yourself appear powerless. You tell the world, I cannot control my life. I am only a victim of it. And nobody respects a victim mentality. People respect those who rise above their difficulties, not those who sit down and describe them all day long.
Look around your workplace, your community, or even your own home. You will always find two kinds of people. The first type is the one who notices problems and immediately starts pointing fingers, criticizing and explaining how bad things are. The second type notices the same problems but immediately starts asking, what can we do to fix this? The first type earns frustration from others, while the second type earns respect. The truth is simple. Complaining may make you feel good for a few minutes, but problem solving makes people value you for years.
Complaining has another hidden cost. It spreads negativity. Imagine someone walking into a room and saying, the system is broken, people are unfair, nothing ever works. The mood immediately drops, people feel drained. They lose energy because negativity is contagious. But imagine someone walking in and saying, this is tough, but we can find a way. Let's try this approach. Suddenly the room lights up. Energy flows. Hope appears. Respect grows instantly because positivity is rare and powerful. People naturally admire the one who brings solutions, not the one who constantly spreads frustration.
Consider this.
Life will always give you reasons to complain. There will always be traffic, bills, unfair bosses, failed opportunities, and difficult people. If you make complaining your habit, you will never run out of material, but you will also never grow. Because the more you complain, the less you act. And the less you act, the less respect you earn. Respect is built on contribution, not criticism. If all you contribute is complaints, then you are adding no value to anyone's life. And when people don't see your value, they don't see you with respect.
Think about the people you personally respect. Do you respect the person who always complains about how unfair the world is? Or do you respect the person who quietly takes challenges head on and keeps moving forward? The answer is obvious. People respect resilience, not whining. They admire strength, not helplessness. When you complain, you display helplessness. When you solve, you display strength. Complaining also weakens your personal brand. Your reputation follows you everywhere. If people know you as someone who always complains, they stop taking you seriously. They avoid telling you new ideas because they know your first reaction will be negative. They avoid working with you because they know you will drain energy instead of giving it. On the other hand, when you build a reputation as someone who doesn't complain but looks for solutions, people want you in their team, in their projects, and even in their personal lives. That's how respect multiplies, by being the one others can count on when problems appear. Now let's talk about perspective. Most complaints are not even about real problems. They are about discomfort. People complain about the weather being too hot or too cold. They complain about food not tasting perfect. They complain about small inconveniences that don't even matter tomorrow. And yet, they don't realize how small those things look to others. Complaining about small issues makes you appear small-minded. But those who stay calm, adapt, and keep moving forward appear strong. And strength attracts respect. It's not about never speaking up. Sometimes situations are unfair, and problems need to be addressed. But there is a difference between raising a concern and complaining. Raising a concern means pointing out the problem with the intention of finding a solution. Complaining means pointing out the problem with no intention of fixing it. Only to gain sympathy or attention, the first earns respect because it is constructive. The second destroys respect because it is destructive.
Take the example of two students in a classroom. Both get low marks on an exam. One says, the teacher didn't explain well. The exam was too hard. The system is unfair. The other says, I didn't prepare well enough. I need to study differently next time. Who will the teacher respect more? Who will the classmates respect more? Respect is given to the one who takes ownership, not the one who keeps complaining about the environment.
Complaining is also a reflection of focus. When you complain, you focus on the problem. When you focus on the problem grows in your mind. But when you focus on solutions, the solution grows. People respect leaders because leaders shift the focus from the problem to the solution. That shift alone is enough to make people trust and follow you. Respect follows naturally.
Every time you are tempted to complain, pause and ask yourself, if I say this, will it make me look stronger or weaker? Because every complaint you speak out makes you look a little weaker in the eyes of others. People admire strength. They admire self-control. They admire positivity. And if you can train yourself to stop complaining, you will automatically look stronger, more confident, and more worthy of respect.
Respect is built on trust, and trust is built on promises. When you make a promise, you create an expectation in someone else's mind. That expectation is not just about the task you committed to, it's about your character. If you keep your promise, people see you as reliable, consistent, and trustworthy. But if you break your promise even once, people begin to question whether they can depend on you. And once doubt enters the relationship, respect begins to disappear. And think about it. Promises are not just words, they are contracts, silent agreements that define how people see you. When you say, I'll call you back tomorrow, I'll deliver this project on time, or I'll be there for you, those words may sound simple, but in the mind of the other person, they are binding. If you fulfill them, you strengthen the bond. If you fail, you weaken it. Respect is nothing more than the sum of those bonds. Break enough of them, and you have nothing left. Most people don't set out to break promises intentionally. They overcommit. They say yes too quickly because they don't want to disappoint anyone in the moment. But later, when the time comes to deliver, they fall short. What they don't realize is that a broken promise is worse than saying no in the first place. Saying no may hurt someone for a moment, but breaking a promise hurts them for a long time, because disappointment is deeper when it comes after expectation. Let's take an example from the workplace. Imagine a manager promises the team that bonuses will be given at the end of the year. The team works harder, stays late, and puts in extra effort because they believe in that promise. But when the year ends, the manager says, we couldn't arrange it this time. Maybe next year. Even if the company had genuine financial struggles, the respect for that manager drops immediately. Why? Because the promise created an expectation that was not honored. The broken word damaged trust. And with that trust, respect vanished. Now think about a friend who constantly says, I'll be there, but always cancels at the last minute. At first you might forgive them. Maybe they had a good reason, but when it happens again and again, you stop relying on them. Slowly, your respect for that friend fades because their words mean nothing anymore. Reliability is not just about showing up. It's about showing others that your word carries weight. And when your word carries weight, people respect you even before you take action. The problem with breaking promises is that it doesn't only affect how others see you, it affects how you see yourself. Every time you break your own promise, whether it's to others or to yourself, you lose a little self-respect. You say you will wake up early, but you keep hitting snooze. You say you will quit a bad habit, but you continue it. You say you will start a project, but you delay it endlessly. Each broken promise tells your own mind, I cannot trust myself. And when you stop respecting yourself, it becomes very hard for others to respect you. Keeping promises is not about perfection. Sometimes circumstances truly change, and you cannot fulfill a commitment. But the difference between a respected person and an unreliable person is how they handle those moments. A respected person communicates early, explains honestly, and takes responsibility. They don't hide, they don't make excuses, and they don't disappear. Even if they cannot deliver exactly what they promise, they still show integrity. That integrity keeps respect alive, even in failure. There's a reason why in business, in leadership, and in personal relationships, the people who rise to the top are those who are known for dependability. It's not always the most talented person who earns the most respect. Often it's the most consistent one. Because talent without reliability is frustrating, but reliability without extraordinary talent still creates trust. And trust always translates into respect. Let's look at history. The leaders who inspired nations, the entrepreneurs who built empires, the mentors who shaped generations, all of them had one thing in common. Their word was strong. When they said they would do something, people believed it. That belief created loyalty, and loyalty created respect. On the other hand, leaders who promised reforms but never delivered, entrepreneurs who overpromised results but failed to provide them, and individuals who constantly said one thing and did another, they lost respect, no matter how skilled or intelligent they were. In everyday life, promises can seem small, but they add up. Saying, I'll call you at 5, and not calling, saying, I'll send you that file, and forgetting. Saying, I'll be there on time, and showing up late. Each of these moments chips away at your reputation. People may not say it to your face, But inside, they are downgrading the respect they have for you. They may still smile, still interact, still work with you, but deep down, they no longer see you as someone they can fully trust. And once trust is broken, respect never fully returns. So the lesson is simple but powerful. Be careful with your promises. Don't say yes to everything. Don't commit to things just to look good in the moment. Think before you speak, because your words shape how people see you. If you know you cannot deliver, it's better to be honest up front. If you do commit, then do whatever it takes to honor that commitment. Because at the end of the day, people respect not what you say, but whether your actions match what you said. One of the fastest ways to lose respect is to talk endlessly without giving others the chance to speak. Talking has power, but only when it is balanced with listening. When you talk too much, people start to tune you out. They begin to see you not as a leader, but as someone who is desperate for attention. On the other hand, when you listen, you show others that their voice matters, that their perspective counts, and that you value them. Respect is built not by how loudly you speak, but by how deeply you listen. Everyone knows someone who dominates conversations. They interrupt, they explain every detail, they repeat themselves, and they never allow silence. At first, people might tolerate it, but after some time, they lose patience. They stop taking that person seriously because every conversation feels one-sided. Respect is not earned by proving how much you know. It is earned by showing that you care enough to hear what others know. The smartest people in the room are often the quietest, because they understand that listening reveals more than speaking. Talking too much creates another problem. It makes you predictable. When people already know you will talk endlessly, they stop listening carefully. Your words lose weight. The more you talk, the less valuable your words become. But when you listen most of the time and speak only when it matters, your words carry authority. People pay attention because they know you don't waste their time with constant chatter. Silence gives your voice power. Listening is also the key to learning. You cannot grow if you only hear yourself. If your mouth is always moving, your mind is closed to new ideas. Respect is often given to the person who shows wisdom, and wisdom is gathered by listening more than speaking. Every great thinker, innovator, or leader developed by paying attention to what others said, observing details others ignored, and using that knowledge to act decisively. The person who only talks never gains that advantage, and without growth, they lose the respect of others who surpass them. Consider a team meeting. One person keeps speaking, explaining their point, repeating arguments, and dominating the space. Others stop contributing because they feel their voices don't matter. Over time, they lose respect for that person, no matter how intelligent they are. Then think of another person in the same meeting who speaks less, but always asks thoughtful questions, listens carefully, and adds value when they finally contribute. That person earns more respect, even with fewer words, because they show balance and maturity. Talking without listening also shows arrogance. It signals that you believe your thoughts are more important than anyone else's. Nobody respects arrogance for long. People may stay quiet in front of you, but inside they begin to disconnect. They stop valuing your presence because you don't value theirs. Listening is humility in action. It communicates, I may not have all the answers. I want to hear you. That humility is what earns deep, long-lasting respect. Think about friendships. Do you enjoy being around someone who talks about themselves nonstop? Someone who never pauses to ask how you are, or what you think, or what you need? After a while, you avoid them. You stop respecting their words because they clearly don't respect yours. On the other hand, a friend who listens to you with attention, who remembers the details of what you shared, and who makes you feel heard, that friend earns a permanent place in your respect. Listening builds bonds stronger than talking ever can. Talking too much can even hurt opportunities. In business negotiations, in interviews, and in leadership roles, those who dominate the conversation often reveal too much, lose leverage, or appear desperate. Those who listen, however, understand the other side better and respond with precision. Respect follows those who show control, patience, and awareness. Talking endlessly shows lack of control. Listening shows discipline, and discipline is always respected. Parents, teachers, and leaders often make the mistake of believing that respect comes from authority or from giving long speeches. But children, students, and followers respect those who listen to them, who try to understand their struggles, and who don't dismiss their feelings. When people feel ignored, they don't give respect, even if they obey. Respect and obedience are not the same. True respect comes from being heard. Listening is not passive. It is active.
It means giving your full attention, not just waiting for your turn to speak. It means asking questions, clarifying doubts, and showing interest in what others say. When you do this, people begin to trust you because they feel safe around you. And trust is the foundation of respect. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And the way to show care is not by speaking more, but by listening better.
Even in moments of conflict,
Listening earns respect. Imagine two people arguing. One keeps raising their voice, interrupting, and trying to win the fight with words. The other listens calmly, waits for the right moment, and responds thoughtfully. Who gains more respect in that situation? Not the loud one, but the calm listener. Because respect is not about volume, it's about control, balance, and wisdom.
the truth is, people remember how you made them feel more than what you said. If you listen to someone, you make them feel valued. If you ignore them by talking over them, you make them feel small. And people do not respect those who make them feel small. They respect those who elevate them, even through something as simple as listening.
Responsibility is the foundation of respect. When you avoid responsibility, you signal to the world that you cannot be trusted. When you accept responsibility, even in failure, you show strength and courage. People respect the one who says, "This is my fault, and I will fix it," far more than the one who points fingers, blames others, or runs away from the problem. Respect is not about being perfect, it is about being accountable.
Avoiding responsibility usually begins with small things. You miss a deadline and say, "It wasn't my fault. The team didn't support me." You make a mistake and say, "The instructions weren't clear." You let someone down and say, "I didn't have enough time." Each time you shift blame, you may protect yourself for the moment, but you damage how people see you for the long term. They begin to realize that you cannot be counted on when things go wrong. And if you cannot be counted on, you cannot be respected.
People don't admire those who avoid problems. They admire those who face them. Imagine two leaders both experience a business failure. The first one says, "The market was unfair, the competitors cheated, the customers didn't understand us." The second one says, "We made mistakes in planning. I didn't lead effectively and I take full responsibility for that." Who earns respect? Not the one who blames the outside world, but the one who looks inward and owns the result. Because responsibility shows character, and character is what earns respect.
Avoiding responsibility also damages trust. Think about a time when you worked with someone who never admitted mistakes. Whenever something failed, they always had a reason why it wasn't their fault. At first you might tolerate it, but eventually you stop trusting them because you know they will never stand up when it matters most. Then think about the opposite situation, someone who openly admits, "Yes, that was my mistake." You may feel frustrated in a moment, but deep down you respect them more because they had the honesty to face reality. When you avoid responsibility, you also limit your growth. Mistakes are powerful teachers, but only if you admit them. If you always blame others, you never learn. You repeat the same errors again and again because you never own them. Respect is given to those who evolve, who grow wiser with every failure. But growth cannot happen without responsibility. A person who avoids responsibility is like a student who refuses to take the exam, but still expects to graduate. It doesn't work. Respect, like graduation, must be earned through effort and ownership. Taking responsibility is not easy. It requires humility to admit you were wrong. It requires courage to face the consequences. But that is exactly why people respect it so much. Anyone can hide. Anyone can run away. Few people have the strength to stand in the open and say, "This is on me." That strength separates the average from the respected.
Think about family life. A parent who blames children for everything, who avoids admitting mistakes, loses authority quickly. But a parent who says, "I made a mistake and I will do better," gains deep respect because the children see honesty and accountability. Respect at home, just like respect at work, grows when responsibility is accepted, not avoided.
Consider a sports team. When the team loses, some players blame the referee, the weather, or the opponent's unfair play. Others, usually the leaders, say, "We didn't execute our plan. I didn't give my best. I need to improve." Which players do teammates respect more? The ones who take ownership, because responsibility inspires others to improve as well. Avoiding responsibility weakens the whole group. Taking responsibility strengthens it. Avoiding responsibility also creates a cycle of weakness. Each time you shift blame, You reinforce the idea that life is controlled by others. You tell yourself that you are powerless, and soon you begin to believe it. That belief kills confidence. And when confidence is gone, respect disappears with it. But when you take responsibility, you remind yourself that you have control, that you can make changes, that your choices shape the outcome. People respect those who are in control of themselves and their actions. In business, in leadership, in relationships, the same pattern repeats. The people who rise are not the ones who never fail. They're the ones who never hide from failure. They step up when things collapse. They accept the burden when things go wrong. They don't say, it's not my fault. They say, it's my responsibility to fix this. That is why people follow them. That is why people respect them. Responsibility is not just about handling mistakes. It's also about owning your commitments, your words, and your actions. If you say you will do something, you are responsible for doing it. If you make a decision, you are responsible for its outcome. If you lead others, you are responsible for their trust in you. Every role in life comes with responsibility, and every responsibility you accept honestly increases your respect.
Avoiding responsibility may give you short-term relief, but it always brings long-term loss. The moment people see you as someone who hides, someone who deflects, someone who never stands up, they lose faith in you. Respect is given to those who carry weight, not those who run from it. If you want respect, you must be the one who says, the result is mine, whether it is success or failure.
Respect is not something you demand, it is something you earn. And the fastest way to earn it is by removing the habits that silently destroy it. Excuses weaken your image. Complaints drain your energy. Broken promises erase trust. Endless talking without listening silences your value, and avoiding responsibility shows fear instead of strength.
If you want to be respected, you must show people that your actions are stronger than your words. Your consistency is greater than your excuses. Your discipline is louder than your complaints. Your humility is deeper than your pride, and your courage is bigger than your fears.
Respect does not come from position, money, or talent. It comes from character. And character is revealed in the habits you keep and the habits you remove. Remove these 5 destructive habits from your life, and you will not have to chase respect. Respect will chase you.